Hi, I'm Eileen Bild, and I am with OTEL Talk. And today I have with me on my show Anthony Apello from Six Gun Sal. Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Eileen. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Anthony is the lead singer for the band Six Gun Sal, and is an LA-based Southern rock hard-edged rock band that will rival the epic bands that we've all grown up listening to our whole lives. It was formed right. It was formed in 2015 and has played hundreds of shows throughout California and joined the West Coast, Nevada, Utah, Washington State, and has recorded 2 full-length albums. So, Anthony, tell me, how's the band doing in this day and age, and what's going on with COVID?
Well, the COVID ruined a lot of things. We had a great tour scheduled in 2020. It was going to be our first tour of the East Coast. Of course, that got scrapped and postponed, and then we were all waiting for the 15-day curve. Then life was going to slowly get back to normal, and now we're, I don't know, like 15 years into this, and nothing has changed. It seems that every day to continue to push more and more restrictions on everyone. And, it comes a point where you start to wonder if this is what's really going on, if it's really just about the sickness or, or other things involved. But, getting to the specific point of the band, for us, we've been blessed to stay busy. We've been taking this time to write new music. We're in the process of 2 film projects right now. We just got out of studio last night on some new music videos that we're putting together for our fans. And there's also a documentary that's being done right now on the band, which is pretty cool. And I'm excited about that. And that's taking obviously a lot longer. And, and I understand, these production crews have a very tight schedule, especially with the COVID restrictions. So we're definitely fortunate to have that going on. But, all in all, we've stayed as positive as we can, and we continue to try to put content out for our fans. And now we're working on some upcoming live shows that we're going to do from studio.
Well, that's great that the band has been able to maintain and stay busy, because I know it's been a challenge for musicians and bands all across the country, much less probably all across the world. So tell me a little bit more about how the band got started, and what's the background of some of the musicians that are in the band, and how you all came together to be in the place that you're at with where you're going.
Sure. It's kind of funny how it all started. I used to work in law enforcement, and my partner, Dusty, we worked together. We were partners, and we were partners for about 3 years. And then we kind of went our separate ways, and I continued on enforcement, different place, and he actually went into the military. And about 10 years went by, and he called me out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, are you still making some shirts for your fight company or your martial arts business?" I said, "Yeah." I go, "I can do whatever. You need me to make you something?" And he goes, "Well, I'm working on a movie project right now, and we're going to need some merchandise." "Yeah, sure, we can make it." So I went down there, and he had me jump in, help out with some of the fight choreography on the movie they were making, and making sure people were throwing punches correct and good for the kids. So after that, we started talking about music, because him and I used to jam. I'd play the drums and he'd play the guitar, and we would sound awful. And, we weren't musicians. We were so it's like, he called me again out of the blue and said, "Hey man, we're going to jam a little bit. You want to come over and play the drums?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I drove over to a spot that they were at in Inglewood, California, started playing the drums, and we did it for like 3 or 4 days straight. We had a lot of fun. And the drummer they were working with came back. So, of course, I humbly bowed out. The guy was a really good drummer, and Dustin had improved a lot on guitar. So I was like, oh, these guys got something going on. And so as I'm getting ready to leave, he says, "Hey, bro," in these exact words, "do me a favor, man." He goes, "I wrote some lyrics to this song we're working on." He goes, "Can you just like kind of spoken word it, just read it?" And I used a colorful metaphor, and I said, it's like, "Please, I know how to sing, right?" And then everybody started laughing. So I took this microphone and I started singing the words as they started playing. And then everybody stopped and we kind of looked at each other and we were like, what the hell just happened? And how the band started.
Wow.
I mean, I had never, sang before. So I think I sang in 7th grade choir, for 6 months till I got kicked out or something. I don't even remember. And so never in a million years would I've ever imagined doing that. I was always the high and tight haircut, flat top kind of guy, doing my job. And, now look at me. So it was definitely a strange turn of events. And, ever since it's been a lot of fun. As far as Dusty goes, I gave a little bit about his background. He, worked law enforcement. He also went to the military. Martial artists like myself, we've got our own systems that we teach and train. We have our own students. Joey has been a musician practically his whole life. He started playing drums when he was a kid. He lived in the East Coast. Sure. Came to California and tried out for Alice Cooper and never left. Ed, professional musician, he's been doing it for years. Matt, our bassist, also an amazing bass player, actually in the banking world and, do his full-time jobs. And then Marco, who was our guitar player a while back, we recently all got back together, and he's a professional musician. He's Berkeley trained, all that stuff, and amazing guy, also in real estate. And that's kind of the band in a nutshell right now. And me, art school is what I do outside of the band. So.
Well, that sounds very like it's got a really strong group of people that sounds like it came together almost magically, like it was meant to be. So
it had to be, because I don't understand any other way it could have happened.
Well, and that's sometimes the best way for something to come about, because it's so natural and it allows things to be presented in a way that it's not a have to, and it's more of a choose to, and I'm sure the songs come through in a way that it just sinks and flows. And would you say that a lot of your songs have some deep messages or meaning behind them?
Absolutely. I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. So I write the majority of our songs. I've probably written all but 2 as far as lyrics go. And I like to tell stories in songs. I think that's something that's missing in a lot of our music, is that we went from that to nonsense and repeating the same word over and over and over and over with the same boring beat. It became the new popular music, and it drives me nuts. So yeah, there's definitely some soul searching behind the songs. I mean, if you look at our first album, a lot of people, they're like, how can you guys be Southern rock? Because there's really only one song in there that's got a Southern twang to it. But the first album we released was because we made all of those songs for the movie that was supposed to happen. So when that didn't go through, as in Hollywood, because investors talk a big game until the day of the money, and then all of a sudden a disaster happens in their life and they can't follow through. So we had these songs sitting there and we just said, well, hell with it. Let's just throw it out there. We'll call it West of Heaven, and we'll go from there, and blah, 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 blah. So, when they get a load of the new stuff that's coming, it's going to really open their eyes as to who we really are as a band, and why we call ourselves Southern Rock and rock. Because I remember one time a person in the press said that we were a love child of Guns N' Roses and Leonard Skinner. And because our live music is much different than what's available for sale right now. And so that's a big point, is that when we play our live shows, people go, oh man, yeah, that's some hardcore, Southern rock going on right there. And we always response, and we've played at some very, very hardcore cowboy places, and places that are very much into country music and Southern rock. And, they gave us all the big applause and, screaming and yelling, whistling. So we think we did our job good. So yeah, but definitely to go back to your original question, we definitely tell stories.
I know the stories mostly about life and journeys and love and all that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, hey, that's life.
I know.
we all have loves and hates, and future, and and happy marriages and terrible marriages, and let's write about it, because one of those songs is going to hit somebody and say, oh my God, they were singing about my life, and I think that's what's missing, like I said, and we need to bring those days back.
I agree. Yeah, I think music is from like the 60s and 70s kind of waned out, and I think bands like yours is bringing it back to what I feel is the real heart of what music is all about.
Yeah, I mean, it again, it's the soul, and if your music has no soul and it's just a bunch of crappy lyrics and the same words repeated over and over and over, you're never going to get someone like me to buy music. The kids my generation, and hell, even generations right after me, it's not music anymore. It's something else, and I think that's why we've had such a positive impact on a lot of people, and I think that's why we're growing the way we are.
I would say that's probably true. So, what do you see happening for your future in 2021?
Well, 2021 is going to be a tricky thing, so obviously we're going to plan our year out for our live shows being in places where we can actually have live shows, and for our fans that can't enjoy a live show because of where they live, we're going to definitely be putting on the online shows for them. Sure, we're giving a little bit to everybody, but we're definitely concentrating on some shows across the country. As of right now, we're scheduled for a big show in March in Washington, D.C. We're several shows in and around Iowa. So, we're looking to stay very busy.
That's good, because I was going to ask if you were planning to travel across the country, because I know I'm in Florida, so Southern rock is really huge in Jacksonville, and of course a lot of major bands have come out of Jacksonville. So if you head down here, you'll have a big crowd.
Yeah, we're hoping. I mean, there's just so many places that we want to hit, and we know where our fan base is, and we want to make sure we eventually get there. And we wanted to take advantage of the downtime in 2020 to give us the opportunities we want to make happen in 2021. 2020 was and still is a lot of bands broke up. A lot of bands just put everything off until 2022. Live Nation put off a lot of shows until the very end of 2021 or the beginning of 2020. But there's a void right there, and we want to fill the void. If nobody else wants to play the shows, we will. Oh yeah, I did it my way. Only way. And we'll bring some rock and roll to them, and going to be happy about, because people need music. I mean, without music is the cure for all, man. It really is, and we're more than willing to step up and be that act to help people out.
So I was going to ask you, you have such a positive attitude in light of all the restrictions and all the problems that the COVID-19 has caused for musicians and bands. If anyone who's listening is struggling with their band, what advice would you give them, or what would you share with them to be able to be out there and be successful?
Find the reasons you started, you know, find the reason you started. It's like an employee on day one of a new job. They're so excited. They're so thrilled to be there. They're so thrilled to have that opportunity. 6 months later, they're miserable at their job because they forgot how happy they were when they first got the job. And the same thing goes with this. You know what? This happened. There's nothing we can do about it. We all have our own theories of how it happened and why it happened, but it happened. And it all goes down to remember why you did it in the first place, and you need to make the best of it. And there are ways to stay relevant. There are ways to make money in this industry. And if you have to put live shows together, if you have to push your merchandise, there's still ways to do it. Hey, listen, we all want to be out there rocking on a stage. People grab our pant legs and stuff like that. It's the biggest thrill feeling in the world to know that people love your music and they're happy to hear you play. But until we can get back to that and we get this nonsense behind us, you just have to stay focused on whatever positives there are. And, and that's when the band needs to come together and say, listen, you know what? We have to continue to do this, or we did it all for nothing. Because that's really what it comes down to. It's like, you're in a marathon and the red tape is right in front of you, but you decide you're just too tired to take those final steps. It's the same situation. You just got to see it through.
Well, I think that's great advice, because a lot of people, they give up too soon, I think, and don't see the other possibilities or options that are out there. And it sounds like you guys just kept pushing and pivoted when the pause happened.
You hit the nail on the head. That is our society today. Everybody wants instant gratification. The new wants to be the CEO. They don't want to have to work for 20 years. They want to have his income and his money immediately because they deserve it. The burger flipper wants to be owns McDonald's because they deserve it. And I'm sorry, rude awakening, you have no idea about it. Not the way the world is. They don't want to put their time in. Again, instant gratification. The cell phone generation changed everything. Instant knowledge, instant gratification, instant misinformation, instant profit. So, you work for things. Things take time. And yeah, you're right. People give up too soon. They give up too early. And, the day you quit, you'll never know if the next day was the great one. The next day would have been greatness. The next day would have been the A&R guy driving by and hearing some music and going, oh my God, who is that? You never know. So the day you quit is the day that you've given up on your dreams.
Oh, that's a great point. And that made me think about what have been some of your most challenging times in building the band, developing the music, and putting everything together to make it work to where at this stage it is working even during these difficult times. So I'm sure you've had some up and downs. So yeah, right. That's life. But what would you say was your hardest, but you were able to overcome that, and here you are today?
For me, I could easily say that one of the challenges is finding the right people to make a band. You go through so many personalities, and it's hit or miss, and it is the necessary speed bumps. We've met some amazing musicians who just have the right attitude for the band or the right mentality. Their focus wasn't what ours was, and let's face it, if your focus isn't that, again, of the CEO, if you're not trying to follow his goals and where he wants to take the company, it's really a defeated purpose. So, it's like getting a jazz musician in a rock band, a little while, but eventually the two ideas clash and it's not gonna work. So I think the biggest hurdle for the band has always been finding the right members. And luckily we've been blessed with that. And I think finally, after 5 years, the past 2-3 years, I'd say the past 2 years, we have the block of people we need now. And
that's awesome.
And I think that's it. As far as other things go, the major hurdles were all of the people out there who, I can do this for you. I can make this happen. I have these connections. Sign with me and I'll get this done. I mean, we went through record labels and management, and everybody promises you the world until it deliver the world. And, then you have to make the decision, do I want to just continue on this journey, or do we just want to see where the dice takes us on our own. And, the truth of the matter, up to this point, we've had more luck and more success doing things on our own, even on our own dollar, than we had with anything else. And, look, I'm sure some people out there have always had the best intentions, but some people clearly didn't. And I think those are definitely things that anybody should look out for, is the red flags when it comes to management. Because when you're first starting out, anybody that promises you, oh man, this is it, we're going. By this time next month, we'll all be we'll all be millionaires.
It's okay.
And
It's okay.
and all of a sudden, it's a year into it, and oh well, this is why it's not happening. It's your fault. It's not my fault. And once you start hearing that as a musician, after a while, you realize, okay, it's not us. It's actually. So the members and management and record labels, just be weary, and it comes together.
Oh, I can agree with you, having been in the music community for over 7 years now. It's almost like you have to be very sharp and discerning, and what someone brings to the table, or what they bring to you, and whether or not it's authentic, and really being able to identify, is that authenticity, or is it being hidden behind an fake authentic mask that is going to kick your butt after you connect with them, and then you got to get away because
it's I agree with you 100%. And it's just there just comes a time where you've done it long enough where you can see these things happening, and
exactly.
razor's edge, and cut your losses. And me personally, when I came into this, I still had the mentality of, this is life, this is the knife, it's going to cut you in half, what side to fall on. And I realized I couldn't be that way with musicians. So, again, finding the right band had to do also me, people like Dustin, understanding that musicians are a different breed of people. You go that way, I'll go this way, and we'll both tackle the bad guy together at the same time. No crying aloud, do your job, and to musicians, fragile people. And I had to learn how to accept that and become that, all the while, I retain who I am, but my way of dealing with them is like learning how to deal with multiple employees. This employee likes me to be stern and corrective, and this one wants me nicer and easier on it, and you get all the work out of them in the positive way by treating them the way you have to with each person. So doing that helped the band tremendously move forward. But yeah, it's again, just be careful when you're out there with these people who claim they all the contacts.
Yes, I agree. I like your statement that musicians is a different breed of people, and I agree with you 100% on that statement, because I feel that musicians are a combination of artists, but also technical, because, with connecting with an instrument, you've got to be really on cue with all of the music. And the musicians that we've worked with and people that I've interviewed, I find that they're special people. They've got a different connection to life and to themselves. And my husband and I, we do videography, and so I like to bring that essence of who the musician is out when we're filming them. And I would like to think that when you're on stage, your goal and your purpose is to bring that part of you, that song, the soul of that song, to the people, so they can feel it, they can be with it like as one, And that's probably what is part of your success, because you have learned to identify with that at that soul level.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. It's very important for me to sing the song with the emotion of why I wrote it. That's important to me. And another big thing for me is when I do live shows, it's the most importance that I sound exactly like I do on the CD. One thing I can say is I don't use auto tune. I've never had to use any of that stuff that a lot of artists use. And it's very important for me to sound like the song. I like to definitely put it out there on the songs and sing with emotion, because if you just go up there and say the words, people can tell right away you're not the real deal.
yeah, absolutely. So, do you have a favorite quote?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one, because I'm screaming out a lot of quotes to people all the time that just come off the top of my head, especially when I'm training fighters and martial arts students. So I'm sure sooner or later, but off the top of my head, I'm not I'm not too not catching one right at the moment.
Okay, well, if one shows up before the end of the interview, you can share that with us. So,
Well, you
tell
can always
me,
spilled milk.
I can always write.
Don't cry over spilled milk.
Don't
You
go
know?
over spilled milk. You're right. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. It's like, don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Yeah. Like
And
I raised telling them, don't come crying to me unless you got a bone sticking through your arm. And I don't.
right.
I'm not. I'm just. My kids are my world, and I love them to death. But there's no time for nonsense. If you're going to cry, have a really good reason to cry. If you're going to be upset, have a good reason. Um, but I'm not the dad that goes go in that timeout corner. That's not who I am, and they know.
Right. Well, it's a different philosophy in martial arts than, it's a different kind of training.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's why I admire my daughter, especially, growing up and becoming an amazing athlete, an amazing wrestler,
Mm.
amazing artist. And she's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's so, you look, and she's super kind. And like my son, the humility and such a gentleman and always willing to do something for somebody else, but he's probably one of the baddest men on the planet. I mean, amazing martial arts, the Hall of Fame at 40. I mean, but great morals, great character. They have a deep code of ethics, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
Raise my thinking that they deserve everything. You want something, you earn it.
Yeah, I know. We kind of have that entitlement mentality in today's younger generation. And, it's a wake up call when they get older and they realize it's going to take time and effort and energy to get where they want to go by working hard and smart and really having a
Yeah, I mean,
defined path.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like these kids nowadays when they go to college and they get a degree in, in masterful coloring, and Crayola, and it's like that's not going to get you a job. Go learn. Do something in college that's actually a job, because your special degree, like I said, in coloring with crayons isn't going to work. It's not going to help you at all. And your philosophy degree is not going to help you at all. It's not going to get you the job you want, okay? Because those jobs aren't out there. And I blame when it comes to that stuff, I blame everything on the teaching institution itself. I mean, college professors that are setting these years of complete failure, because they don't want to speak about the realities of what it takes to make it in this country, and to create a society that just wants to hand it to them is creating disaster. It hasn't worked in any other place in the world. It's not going to work here. And if that's the direction that we continue to go in, then this country is doomed.
Well, I'm hoping we don't get to that part where we are actually doomed. But I think this year 2020 has been an awakening of sorts for uh, some people to realize there has to be change, and perhaps through your music and your band's messaging and the songs that'll plant a seed and help people to take action in a positive way, not in a destructive way.
My whole hope is that, and again, I mean, it's just who I am, but my whole hope is that it brings people back to back to what made our country amazing and what made it great. And I just do not agree with certain politics today. I'm a registered independent voter, so you give me a JFK, I'll vote for a JFK. But I'm done voting for these 50-year politics. I'm done with it because that's all they are. They're just lying, thieving, vile creatures, and all they do is lie to you. They tell you whatever you want to hear. It's very few, far in between. You actually get someone who actually tells you what they're going to do and then does it while pissing it. And that's the guy I respect. That's the woman somebody who has the cojones to make your campaign promises and then keep your campaign promises. Unfortunately, all of our politicians, grand majority of them, are all liars. They're all liars. They're all best friends outside of the camera. Let me tell you that much. They they hate each other, but they like to hang out and go golfing together. And how many times have we seen Bush and Clinton and Obama and everybody playing golf together? I thought you guys hated each other. For the voters, that was just for the voters to keep everybody divided. And I can't stand that crap, And so I'm hoping our music kind of rekindles that flame, and brings back the days of it's okay to be a man, it's okay to be a woman, and you don't have to fight over who's bigger and better. If that woman is better at my job, then frig, let her have it. If she deserves it, let her have it. If he deserves it, let him. This nonsense of everybody walking on eggshells, the PC culture we've become, it drives me insane. I'm never going to change who I am. Let me tell you, I'll speak the way I like to speak. And let me tell you, it's when I have to do things like this, depending on which way the interview is and who I'm being interviewed by, let me tell you, every other word's a colorful metaphor out of my mouth, because that's just who I am. And I'm not going to change who I am to make someone else comfortable in their life. If you don't like what I have to say, if you don't appreciate who I am or my honesty or me being blunt, then we're probably not the best pair to be friends. It's probably different ways is the best thing. And I think we need more of that. I think we need people to stop pretending they're someone else and just be who they are. That's it. Honesty cures all. It is the deceivers and the liars and the people who pretend to be this person who wants to win everybody. That's never going to happen. There's an impossibility. Because let me tell you something. You can sell a car to somebody and steal every penny from them, and they will love you for it. You can sell somebody a car dirt cheap, $2,000 below cost, plus $4,000 rebate, and they'll still complain that you robbed them. So it's an endless battle, and why fight it? If you don't like what I have to say, it's fine. You can go hang out with people who like to think like you. If you like what I say, great, come on board. And that's kind of where I'm at right now mentally. I'm done with trying to appease everyone, because that would make me a sellout and it would make me false. And I'd rather be real to the day I die, that someone can depend on my word, than somebody who lies like politicians do and tells you what you want to hear just to make you happy while you send me your money. That would be like, buy all my music, even though I really don't like what you stand for. I'll just pretend I do so you can give me money. I'm just not that person.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I like integrity and honesty. And sometimes I say, can't we all just get along and, live life the way it's supposed to be? But it's been the last 4 years have been challenging for those of us who live in that mindset of where's the honesty and the integrity and the, the truth and the areas of life that is there for the whole and is meant for collaboration and for everybody to benefit. And it's almost like it's just crumbled and fallen apart. And, the infighting and the outfighting is a little disturbing, and it's not healthy for the children going up in today's environment.
See, I saw this happening. I actually believed in Obama when Obama first became president. I thought it was going to be an awesome thing. I was like, okay, cool. This is amazing. It's changed. First Black president. It was totally a stoked time. And after the first year, I realized he was absolutely nothing I wanted to deal with, and I did not like him as a president. And that time, I believe the Great Divide started. And I also rise in anti-police rhetoric, and things were starting to change drastically. And I think everyone used Donald Trump as the excuse for everything that had started years before. And I think what Donald Trump did is, however vulgar he is and however unpresidential he may be when he talks, he speaks the truth. And he speaks the truth, at least how he sees it. And that's what a lot of people can't accept, is that just because you don't like his tone doesn't mean he's not right on many subjects. And I think what he did, and it's very easy to prove he did it when you look at both sides of career politicians attacking him, is because he pointed them out. He pointed them out failures and how they've been screwing the American people for decades. And I think that's why everybody hates him. And because the media sucks up to one side, and they're the ones that speak to the masses on a nightly basis, it's easy to convince a lot of weak-minded people that that's the enemy. That's the enemy. Don't you want to go back to the days of paying 50 and 60% taxes? Don't you want that? I mean, no, I don't want it. I don't want all of these businesses that just go back to the U.S. to leave again and go back to another country and give them their money and their profits. So again, who I am personally, I can appreciate someone like that. I would rather have someone up there who blurts out a curse word by accident or intentionally, rather than someone who looks completely presidential, speaks wonderfully, has a wonderful tone under his voice, looks fantastic on camera at all times, and lies to me 80% of the time. I'd rather have the guy that doesn't. I'd rather have the plumber down the street who curses every time he wrenches something, but knows how to run a business, than somebody who just knows how to be a great politician. And that's where I'm at right now, because again, I'm an independent voter. You give me a John F. Kennedy, I will vote for a JFK in a heartbeat, because I believe he loved this country, and I believe he wanted what was best for this country, and I believe they killed him for it, and that's just me. Again, now I have tons of liberal friends, tons, and I don't disrespect them. I completely disagree with their philosophy on life. I don't disrespect them, and if they needed my help, I would help them. But they respect me enough to know that this is my position, and they don't challenge, and I don't challenge them on theirs. We have a discussion. Hey, that's your way. This is my way, and let's go get a burger. Let's get something, Diet Coke. So I absolutely have no ill will towards liberal or Republicans or independents or libertarians. Everybody's got a reason for thinking the way that they think. But don't force your ideas down my throat. I won't force my ideas down your throat. And this is what I believe. And as an independent voter, I could not in good conscience vote for something that's going to bring back the days where we had a 1% GDP for 8 years and then tried to blame it on the previous president. I can't. I don't want that. And I know there's at least 100 million other people in this country who don't want that either. Maybe there's 100 million people who do, but I don't. I like hard work. I like having to start at the ground floor and build something into success rather than somebody just say, hey, I'm the CEO and I'd like to hire you and make you the CEO with me. And we can all own the company together. Well, that's not how it works. And people that think that way, they really need a lesson in economics and how the world works. But anyway, that's me in a nutshell when it comes to politics. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, well, and I think that goes along with how you are able to take your band and keep moving it forward because you're standing in your own empowerment of this is who I am, and you've been successful in 2020, moving into being prepared for 2021, and that speaks a lot for itself. You know, I am also an entrepreneur and a business owner. And when everything shut down in March, when COVID hit, I didn't go into fear mode or stress. Instead, I strategized, and we had just started our Roku channel. So we went into forward movement mode. And coming out of COVID or moving into 2021, we now have 3 Roku channels, and we have clients in which we're creating their own Roku channels. I'm doing a lot of interviews, and you know the business has actually done better than it could have done had I just sat around and waited for something to land in my lap, right? So you know, I think there's different mindsets and perceptions and perspectives. And, you know, what you bring to the table is, in my opinion, a very positive way of looking at one of life's biggest curveballs that, you know, we ought to experience, I'm sure, in our lifetime. And so I give you a big thumbs up for that. And
I appreciate
you're welcome. And I look forward to, you know, seeing you out there with the band and being successful, and hoping that the seeds that you plant with your songs will make a difference in people's lives and help bring a little bit more positivity to the world.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. Speaking on, so we played a big show called Indie Stock, and it was a cool day. And we were up on stage playing, big stage. I mean, it was 100 feet across and, you know, almost 75 feet wide, and $50,000 sound and light system. It was amazing. It was one of the best experiences. And so we wrote this song called Red Blooded American, and we wrote that for everybody. I mean, when we wrote that at that time, it wasn't Republicans. Again, I'm independent. I'm in the middle. If my message, you know, touches you and you're a lefty or a righty, awesome. It's about America. It's about being proud of who you are. And somehow this kid, couldn't be more than 21, 22, snuck up onto the stage through the sound guys, through everybody, and walks right up to me and says, "Can I give you a hug?"
Oh.
And of course you can, brother. And I gave him a big hug, and he was crying. And he goes, "I want to give you something." He goes, "That song you just played for everyone," he goes, "that meant everything to me. And thank you so much." And he hands me his Purple Heart patch, and he that wounded Marine. And like I said, the kid could have been 22, 20. That meant more to me than anything. Even right now, I'm getting chills. That meant more than anything that's ever happened, ever. Money-wise, anything. Because who knows what that kid was through? Who knows where his mind was at? And if I was able to help him with just my music, you know, that meant everything to me. And for him to give me that Purple Heart patch, that was like the biggest honor I could have ever gotten from anyone. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget how it felt, because it feels the same way every time I think about it. And so, yeah, you know, I think our music does touch certain people, and it does help people. And we've had so many people who are addicts that, you know, are trying to stay sober, or recovering addicts, and hear some of our music. They're like, "Oh my God, you know, that song, it saved my life." I mean, wrote a song called Broken that very few people have heard because it hasn't been released yet. And I can't tell you how many people heard that. They lost it, you know. Mama's another song that I wrote, you know, for my mom. You know, I was like, this is what my mom went through growing up. And I had just dozens and dozens and dozens of emails of moms and kids of those moms, tearful messages like, thank you so much. The song was amazing. I can't believe, so yeah, I hope it does help people.
Wow, that's amazing. That's almost like magical, like it again was meant to be. The band is meant to be here and sing the songs that they're singing and you're singing. So to close out the interview, thank you for being with me today. I've really enjoyed hearing your stories and talking with you. Where can people find you in the band?
You know what? We're everywhere. We have a new Instagram channel, Six Gun Sal. Our YouTube is Six Gun Sal Official. You need to type the whole thing out, and that'll bring you to our YouTube account, because there's another one out there that's just Six Gun Sal. But again, that was created in the very beginning, and the person that created it couldn't find the passwords for it. Yeah, we got locked out of our own account. We've already doubled or tripled the numbers of subscribers, so that's a good thing. So Six Gun Sal Official on YouTube. I'm also on a new social media site called Your, Y-O-R-E. It stands for You're Free Here. The band is on that as well. It's an amazing social media site. It's brand new. It's growing exponentially, and I am so thrilled to be part of it. So definitely you can check it out as well. It's called Your. Also Facebook, of course, Six Gun Sal. And we were messing around Twitter for a while, but none of us really liked Twitter. So Twitter was just a kind of a gross place to be, because it's nothing but, and we actually like to stay away from that nonsense, and we don't ever post about it on anything that has to do with our band or our music or anything like that. So so Facebook, everything's Six Gun Sal basically. The only one you have to type in Six Gun Sal Official is YouTube.
And you're also now on the Roku channel, OTEL music videos.
That is totally cool. And definitely, as soon as we get this new music video we just made done, it'll probably be in post-production for about 3 weeks. I'll make sure you get it and all the links. We're going to be releasing a powerhouse song, which is going to resonate, especially with people who remember the 70s and 80s, like nothing they've ever heard. We're super excited about that. That's probably going to be coming out, I'm thinking probably in March. But we're doing this one. This one's special to us. And one music producer in the world, Timothy Eaton, produced it. And he's actually worked with everybody from Skinner, the Allman Brothers, Motley Crue, everybody, Kiss, everybody. Wow. So he jumped all over it. Anyway, I know it's the end of the show. I just wanted to throw that out there. But thank you so much for having me on here. And it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you guys. And hopefully the fans out there appreciate the honesty.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the show. And we will definitely stay in touch. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One, two, 3, 4.